Okay, my name is Soo Kim, and I'll be your. No, let me restart. Okay, start. Okay, my name is Soo Kim, and then I'll be your AP Microeconomics and Macroeconomics teacher at 엘리트어학원. Let's get started. This is a 2025 first response question of AP Macroeconomics. This is from set 1, question 3. Let's first read the questions. The table provided shows the quantities and the unit prices of shirts, bread, and pants, the only three goods produced in the country of Midland in 2021 and 2022. Assume that 2021 was the base year. And we have this little pretty table. So you will have 10 to 15 minutes to solve this question. If you are watching this video and then in the level of solving the past exam questions, I'm pretty confident, and then I'm pretty confident that you'll have a great command of the topics in macroeconomics. So let's dive into it. So I've seen a couple of reviews and then comments on this 2025 macroeconomics question. Some say this was the hardest exam they have ever taken. Some say it was like like it was hard but not that difficult. I think if you are comfortable in explaining the concepts, and then if you have a firm grasp of the notions in macroeconomics, like at the AP level, I'm pretty confident that you can be and you will be solving this within 10 minutes. So let's deep dive into it. So the first question was the real GDP in 2021 in Midland greater than, less than, or equal to the nominal GDP in 2021? Explain. So before we even start we know that the 2021 was the base year. What does the base year mean? Base year means that the prices at 2021 is used to calculate the real GDP, right? So in 2021, everything, the nominal GDP of 2021 in Midland is same as the real one, because the nominal price in 2021 is exactly same as the real one, because 2021 is the base year. So the simple answer was the real GDP equal to the nominal GDP in 2021. Explain. The simple answer is they're equal because 2021 is a base year, and the nominal price of 2021 is same as the real price. And then B, calculate the real GDP in Midland in 2021 to 2022. Show your work. So in this case, you are going to use the prices from the base year, the unit prices in 2021, to calculate the real GDP in Midland in 2022. And what is convenient in this table is that actual quantities, real quantities that is produced in 2021 and 2022 are the same. So 50 for shirts, 70 for bread, and 30 for pants. So the real GDP in the Midland in 2022 would be same as 2021. Why? Because we are measuring the real GDP at the 2021 prices. So the quantities for the first good, shirt, is 50. And then unit price in 2021 is 11, so we have $11 plus Same for bread, 70 for $4. And then I'm really bad at handwriting with this device. Bear with me. 12 4 pence. So quantity times the price at 2021. So it'll be 550 and 280 and then 360. And then we'll have this two is 640. So we'll have 1190 in this case, right? So again, remember when you calculate the real GDP, it is quantity times the base year price. If you were required to calculate the nominal GDP, then you will be using the unit prices in 2022. You are calculating the real GDP, so you're using the base year's price. So it'll be quantity times base year's price, and then you sum it up over all goods. Okay? It was that, and then we're going to have this little have this 1190 written down here because we're going to use it. Okay, assume that the Midland was in short-run equilibrium in 2022. The potential real GDP was 1150 in 2022. Draw a correctly labeled graph of the aggregate demand, short-run aggregate supply, and long-run aggregate supply curves for Midland in 2022, and show each of the following. First, the equilibrium real output and price level, Y1 and PL1 respectively, the full employment output, the long-run output, labeled at YF. Okay, when you're going to draw these graphs, first thing you need to consider is to label the graphs correctly, namely the axis. So we have x-axis and y-axis, and typically when you're drawing this aggregate demand, aggregate supply model, the y-axis will have the quantities. In this case, quantity is real GDP. And then we will have a price level. And then when you label the axis correctly, the next thing you want to do is first draw the short run aggregate supply and then aggregate demand. Oops. So, and then the intersection of short run aggregate supply and then aggregate demand would be the equilibrium real output and price level at time 1. So like there is a subscript Y1 and PL1. So at the current time we will have Y1 and then price level PL1. And then second thing we need to label, we need to draw is the long run aggregate supply at the full employment output labeled as YF. And then how do we know the full employment output? And by definition, this full employment output is the potential real GDP, which is written as 1150 in 2022. And then, if you remember, the real GDP in Midland in 2022, when you are at the short run aggregate supply, short run equilibrium, it was at 1190, right? So that means the current equilibrium output level is actually greater than the potential output. So that means here, that means we have YF full employment output, which is Y is 1150, is less than current output, which you calculated at question B, 1190. Right? So the equilibrium real output, price level Y1 and PL1, and then you have to finally write, label these curves. This is long run aggregate supply. So remember, the long run aggregate supply is a vertical line. It doesn't look vertical in this graph because of my poor handwriting on this device. And then there will be short run aggregate supply, downward sloping aggregate demand, real GDP, price level, and then each points in line. So Y1, YF, PL1. You have to label everything correctly. This is by far the most frequent mistakes that people make when they are taking the test, whether it be AP Macro or AP Micro or any kind of test. If you are drawing graphs, you have to label them correctly. So I hope you remember that. Okay, question D. Assume the marginal propensity to consume in Midland is 0.8. Calculate the minimum change and state the direction of change in government spending required to close the output gap in the short run in Midland. Show your work. So, difference between these two is $40. So this is output gap. So we have output gap, and then since this output gap is above the full potential real GDP, we need to decrease the expenditure or demand in order for this economy to go back to the full potential output level. So the change of government spending required would be negative because we need to decrease it, and then the minimum amount needed to achieve the full potential output is contingent upon the spending multiplier. And then, if you remember how to calculate this spending multiplier, it was 1/1 minus MPC. And that was a formula to calculate the spending multiplier. In this case, we are going to have 1 minus 0.8/1, which is 0.2/1, which is 5. And then this spending multiplier, so change of government expenditure times spending multiplier 5 should be the output gap. Output gap was $40. Therefore, change in government expenditure needs to be $8. Because this $8 is re-injected into the economy, if you remember the famous Keynesian expenditure model, and then it will be reiterated until it reaches this 40 amount. So we have marginal propensity to consume at 0.8, and then there will be this spending, government spending will be multiplied at 5 times. Therefore, the minimum change required is $8, and then the direction of the change in government spending is decrease. So the decrease $8, and then you have to state that we are having positive like excessive demand at this short-run equilibrium. So in order for the economy to close this output gap, you have to shift. Oops, sorry. You have to shift this aggregate demand backwards. And let's put it as 81, 80, and then this is 81 and 82. So 81 needs to be shifted leftwards towards 82. And you can achieve that using this using this $8 change in government spending. And I think that's it for this free response question. Thank you.